Hey, it's James, Fathers Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. Are you calling your baby's mom a child abuser? When you go on Facebook or Instagram, you call parent alienation child abuse. How come you don't bring it up when it counts in court when they decide the fate of your child? Every single statute in every single state says that the court has to consider child abuse. If you're not calling a child abuser in court, do you think prosecutors don't call a pedophile or a child abuser or a rapist what they are? If you're not doing that, you're a total pussy coward. Your kid is relying on you to go rescue your kid. When I got 5 days a week visitation, I first got 0 in front of a family court commissioner. Commissioner Pro Tem or Substitute Commissioner Deborah Bianco out of Bellevue, Washington. If you Google her, you can see what a Bertha Bird Nest hairdo looking witch she is. She gave me 0 visitation and said they had to investigate me first. I did a motion for revision, which is a mini appeal from a commissioner to a judge, kind of like some of you can do an appeal from a magistrate to a judge or, there's different terms for it, but a low level, somebody acting like a judicial officer but isn't a judge. Usually there's a chance to appeal that. Magistrate or, I'm losing the term. Anyway, I had 0 visitation. I had the balls to try again. The vast majority of people in Washington state tell me their attorney says, don't do a revision, you'll probably lose. I won my first revision, and I'm a warehouse worker who flunked out of college, representing myself, facing an attorney with 17 years experience. And the judge even said, I can't believe you guys have so much conflict. So for about 20 seconds, she admonished us. That's something most of you guys are scared of. Oh my God, I don't want to make the judge feel uncomfortable. The judge is so sensitive. I want to cater to the judge. You see, I've said this many different ways. The evidence as to the reason why you should have custody is because the other parent's an alienator. They're a child abuser. If they don't want 50-50, then they don't care about the child. You got states like Florida and I think Michigan and I don't know, there's a bunch of them. One of the factors in the law, but Florida, right off the top of my head, I got so many Florida clients, is 63.13. Some of you have had attorneys and they've never even told you what the statute is. The court of law and what the judge decides is based upon the law. Your lawful right to your kid is based on the law. And you don't even know what the law is. And some of you give me attitude on here when I talk on here. And then some of you idiots out there say, James has practiced law without a license. The statute, Florida Statute 63.13 with the subsection 3 in parentheses, is online. If I say go read it yourself, that's not practicing law. I say go and look at the internet. If you got a problem with that, talk about the person who typed that up and posted it on the internet, who's probably not an attorney. Also, how come these attorneys that hate on me for allegedly practicing law without a license, how come you not do anything about the family court facilitators and the clerks who give legal advice every day illegally? And bad advice. How can we not do anything about it? Because they're all part of a club of alcoholics, pedophiles, child traffickers, and people who provide free services for sex. If you got an attorney who's not married, and some of them are married, John Curry in Auburn, Washington, flirts with women all around the courthouse. David Contos, who's a substitute pro tem commissioner in Kent, Washington at the RJC, he had a client that he was, having sex with and providing free services. Got her a job at his law office. A bunch of everybody had to quit there because they couldn't deal with her. He put her through school and got her a car. And she was flirting with process servers coming to his office. And she's flirting with them and say, well, I got to wait. I'm using this guy for his money and stuff. She would tell that to process servers. David Contos. Who else? Lenoid Ponomarchuk, who was a commissioner, became a judge. Reportedly was having sex at the courthouse. David Contos was kicked off the rotation for doing that. Don Farrell, my opposing attorney, he would lose cases on purpose. His women clients would go broke. They would lose hearing after hearing. He would be a no-show or wouldn't file stuff. Some of the women victims of his that I interviewed and talked to, this is Donald Wayne Farrell on 4127 Northeast 96th Street in Seattle. That's his home office. One lady sued him for malpractice and won an arbitration hearing. I talked to her. She said during her lawsuit, she found out he did that to 20 different women. And one woman called me up and said that he forced her or basically coerced her to work for free in his home office as a legal assistant or legal secretary to work off her bill. I wrote the Bar Association, and Jonathan Burke of the Bar Association said, "Oh, that's a malpractice suit. We only deal with ethical violations." So he didn't care about abuse of women. And Don Farrell did that to 20 different women. He also called an Asian attorney the lying C word, and Jonathan Burke recommended that he should get a verbal warning to not use racial slurs, even though if he did that anywhere else, he would get fired. So you attorneys out there attacking me, you're protecting the system and everything else, and you won't go on after these guys. I had attorney after attorney tell me how Don Farrell was a corrupt monster and they hated his guts. And I said, why don't you file a bar complaint? You're obligated to do it under the rules of professional conduct to snitch on another attorney. Oh, I can't do that. And attorneys are a bunch of pussies, but they'll try and beat up on me. I dare any attorney to go live with me and talk about issues that they disagree with me on. I will school them like I schooled Don Farrell in the Court of Appeals, like I schooled Mark Livis in my contempt motion. So I show you guys my winning court orders, and attorneys on here who don't have any kind of track record are talking smack to me. Now, you won't call your baby's mom a child abuser in court, even though she's a child abuser and child abuse is a factor. And states like Florida, 63.133 says one of the factors is which parent is willing to facilitate a relationship with the other parent or honor the other parent's time and place in the child's life. RCW 26.09.002 in Washington State says that the government recognizes the fundamental importance of the parent-child relationship of both parents to the child. And I talked to you guys about your basic fundamental need in a child's life. The law in Washington says that. And if a parent runs interference with a basic life need, that's like taking food or water or clothing away from a child. That's child abuse. How come you don't go in there and call it like that? And see, nobody ever does that because they're afraid to do it because of a paranoid fear in their head of something that doesn't even exist. And I go into court and I'm sitting here saying, my baby's mom's a child abuser. She's holding the child and all this other stuff. And my judge says, I can't believe there's so much conflict between you two. Look at all this paperwork, James and Sid. Look at all this stuff. And at the end, she goes, you deserve a great deal of visitation, 5 days a week. Bam. Do you think I gave a rip about that 20 seconds of the judge admonishing me? And you punk-ass bitch pussy cowards are out there saying, oh, I can't do that. The judge will get mad. So what? What if they do? And you walk out with your kid? So what? Why would the judge be so thin-skinned that they would be mad that the mother's out there crucifying you and she's lying about you and you can't tell the truth about child abuse? You're a pussy. And if your attorney says that won't work, or we want to be nice to the judge and nice to the guardian ad litem, ask them if you had half a brain and had some balls, or you had any kind of freaking common sense and you weren't a stupid jackass, you would ask your attorney, how has that worked for you in the past? Show me an example of a case where a dad got custody of 50-50 by playing this game. None of them win. When you sit back and you stay quiet and you're nice and she's crucifying you and you don't defend yourself and point out how she's a liar, you lose automatically. But you're so stupid, you don't even ask your attorney, how long have you been doing this and how well has it worked? You just sit there and obey like a good little punk-ass sheep. And your kid is crying out for you to rescue them, and you're sitting there like a pussy doing nothing. Call a spade for crying out loud. You do it all over social media when it doesn't matter and doesn't count. Why don't you do it in court when it counts? Demand your attorney to prove to you what they're talking about. I show you my winning orders. And I got countless testimonials of guys doing this stuff. Grow some freaking balls, or quit on your kid.